I think I'm addicted to noise.
You're addicted to noise?
Yeah, I feel like I always got something on. I always have like a video playing. I always have I'm not even listening. It just has to be playing. I always have like some news thing that's popping off in the background, or I'm watching some video game, or I'm playing something, or I'm scrolling somewhere. Sometimes I'm doing 4 things simultaneously. I'll have a podcast playing while I'm reading an article. Like, it's just an epiphany, and I don't even know how normal this is, but I feel like I'm just consuming media all the time, like so much of it, all the time, every time of the day. And I also started having a weird pattern where the only time that I'd write any material for stand-up is as I'm trying to fall asleep. I lay in bed and like everything's quiet, and then I hear my thoughts all of a sudden. I'm like, oh yeah, this is what it feels like to think.
There's always some shit that's on.
There's always some shit on, like all the time.
But yeah, it's at the beginning of you do comedy, you go to sleep and you think about some shit, and you're like, oh shit, that's funny. I'll write it down tomorrow. No. You'll forget.
I got notes.
Yeah.
I have to write it down.
You'll forget. You have to write it right away.
And then I stay up an extra hour because now I'm like on my phone like this, writing down notes and writing down punchlines. But it's just like that's the only time because I have noise all the time. And I just noticed it over the last like 2-3 years. It's just been like consistently that. And so after a while, you just become numb to noise. And I don't know. Do you guys ever get that?
Yeah, I need constant stimulation.
Yeah.
I can't fall asleep without a podcast. What's crazy is like everyone, when they're taking a shit, right? They have their phone, right? You're scrolling through some stuff. But I've gotten to the point where I'm so addicted that I'll put on a YouTube video for a piss. For a 25-second piss. I'm like, I need to be entertained.
Right there.
That's a lot.
You always need to be stimulated.
I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me, man?
I've never touched Wasim's phone because I know he didn't watch before.
Yeah. That shit
or after he handled that phone.
Everything.
He probably pissing hands free. Just
Look, ma, no hands.
Yeah.
But
I get you. Yeah.
No, when I sleep, I there was a time when I used to like always have the TV on when I was sleeping. No, it's fairly calm and quiet. I need my calm and quiet. Sometimes I come here just for calm and quiet and just work on shit. Just not to have.
But I feel like you always on your phone anyways.
Not always on my phone. No, sometimes I'm driving.
Okay, but I hope that's an exception. Motherfucker out here just
texting while driving.
No, but that's noise. Because I say noise not in the sense that it's actual audible noise. I say noise in the sense that it's just distraction.
No, but sometimes
it's like, you ever look at a TV screen when there's like no channels on, it's just like white stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like that. Sometimes we just need that.
Yeah, but sometimes I go in the room and I just stay there. I don't hear the noise from outside, and I don't have no phone. I just think in a dark room.
Yeah,
there's no windows, anything. It's just a dark room. So it's kind of the representation of it inside my brain, and I can just float and see things in my mind. But sometimes I need my peace and quiet. But I understand that we're more stimulated by a lot of things. Like we're overstimulated in terms. We can have access to a lot of things. We're bored. We're on our phone. Awkward situation, phone. Funny situation, that thing I was talking to you about, phone. So we have that thing where we're always stimulated. We always have access to it. You know what I mean?
And I think you become so constantly stimulated that after a while you're just not stimulated at all. Because you get so saturated with so much, your nerves are just like shot from constant feeling, right? So it's just like, why am I even doing it? It doesn't even feel good. Or it doesn't even feel entertaining. No. Interesting. I hate it. I can't stand it. This is why sometimes I just chuck my phone across the room and don't even come near me, stupid. Right? I have to do that to myself. I have to consciously do that.
You'll chuck your phone and say, get off, be stupid.
Yeah.
You talk to your phone like that?
I talk to myself. It's really to myself that I'm saying.
Yeah. That's what you're saying.
My phone could talk back. yeah, my phone would hate the shit out of me. My phone would hate the shit. The amount of times I chucked that bitch.
Yeah, you chuck that bitch.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of chuckable shit, chuckable worthy shit on the internet that you watch and you're like, ugh.
Yeah. So that's been something I've been dealing with all week.
There's a trend on YouTube, on Facebook right now, is that there are videos and there is no purpose to that video.
Oh, yeah.
And you're waiting to see what the end of the video is, to see what the fuck is this guy doing. And at the end of the video, the guy is doing nothing. It's like a complete waste of time. It's so absurd. Like there's a
Without
guy that
seeing the video, it's hard to know what that's like.
Okay, so what it is, well, the last video I saw like that, and I was pissed off after watching it. It's a guy, there's a toilet bowl, and he has a drill, and he's poking 6 holes in the cover of the toilet. And he's putting a tube in those holes, and he pours a Gatorade in the tube. And it goes inside, outside, inside, and in the toilet. No purpose.
The troll in me appreciates it.
No purpose. So you're there watching this shit, like, what's he gonna do?
But you know what? That is some of the best performance art in a way. Because as you are browsing this app for no fucking purpose, here's some content that's going to remind you of how fucking pointless this all is. And it's actually impactful.
Yeah, because
if I saw that as I was browsing, I'd be like, I need to delete this app.
Yeah, no, but you're right, because I was watching that and I said, all right, I got to get on with my day and take a shower.
Because what the fuck am I doing right now?
I gotta get on.
How did you even find that video? That means that so many people watched it and were disturbed by what they saw. It reflected something in the emotion.
Let me see if I can find it.
Because we go to Facebook for a payoff, and here's a video or a piece of content that tells you like there is no payoff.
No, there's no reward.
There's none. There's none. Why are you here? And I don't know. To me, there's just something poetic about that.
No, I don't find the video.
There's something really poetic.
But it was just, oh my God, what a fucking complete waste. All right, I got to get on with my day.
Yeah.
I got out of bed and I went to take a shower. It motivated me. So I guess there's a purpose for that. But it's just to remind you that you ain't doing shit right now. And there's something better that you should be doing. Those minutes you're never going to get.
Yeah.
Never going to get, never going to get it. Never going to get, never going to get it. Never going to get, never going to get it. Never going to get it. Whoa.
Yeah. You have any long-term goals?
I want to make money.
Is it?
I want to make money and
But money's a tool. What do you want to make money for?
I want to make money and dope shit.
Right.
Long-term goals.
People always ask me that. And I always say, like, I have no idea. So that's what I'm asking.
Listen, I want to do what I do right now really good.
Yeah.
So I could chill later.
Right.
I want to be able to chill. But what's going to permit me to chill, I want to do dope shit with it. I want to be able to have fun. Okay, so, yeah. Long-term goals. Such a vague question. Things can change. I don't know how I'm going to feel in 5 minutes. So it's hard for me to be like, okay, in 10 years.
Okay.
I could never answer, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I agree. Is there a moment you'd like to achieve? Some people have like a flashpoint of something they would like to do. Or it's like, maybe for you, it's just for laughs. You know, maybe for somebody else, it's going on tour. For someone else, sitting on the countryside with their family by a house that they bought. Is there a moment for you that you see in your head?
That's already passed.
Yeah? What was that moment?
Me doing what I love and getting paid for it.
Okay.
The rest is really gravy. Like, I told you that numerous times. I just wanted to pay my bills. If I can manage to pay my bills and not kill myself because I'm so miserable with my job or everything around me.
Yeah.
If I can just not be miserable and be good with what I do, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the motivation that like whenever I go on YouTube and I see like comments and shit and I'm like, well, you hate me and you don't like what I do or you say all this shit about me, I'm still good. I don't know about you, person talking shit, or maybe they're not talking shit. Maybe like the person that likes me, the person that hates me, those two people, they're both right. Okay? So I don't really care like that. It affects you sometimes. Like, okay, that stung a bit, but whatever. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm looking back on what I do and what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. So that moment already passed. The rest is really gravy. I got aspirations to do other shit, other dope shit, of course, but I just wanted to pay my bills and not be miserable. And I just want that moment to last as long as I can. That's the goal. It's not going to the mountain and staying on top. Right? So, yeah, man.
Yeah. Life for me kind of feels like you know that Roadrunner cartoon where the Roadrunner's just running and then he runs off a cliff, but he keeps going. It doesn't stop because like nothing. That's what life feels like.
Well, because there's a rule in cartoons: you don't fall if you don't look down.
Exactly. That's what life feels like sometimes. Because I'm like, sometimes I ask myself how I got to where I am, and it feels like I never stopped. You just keep moving. Because you know when you run down a hill, you got so much momentum, it just snowballs. And you don't even know like where you were trying to go when you ran down the hill. You just kept going, and like the speed kind of carried you there. I feel like that a lot of times with life. When people like sometimes ask me like, "What's the end goal?" I was like, I never really thought about it. I just kept moving.
But that's the thing. That's one of the things that you told me the most.
What?
All right, whatever. Keep it moving. You said that, I don't know how many times you said that. Whenever there was something that was happening to us, or something good, something bad, something, and the bad stuff I can understand. Whatever. There's nothing we could do about that. Keep it moving.
It's great.
For the good stuff, whenever the good stuff happened, we had some good moments, and you're like, all right, good. Keep it moving.
Yeah. Well, I mean, coming from where I came from and having to live on my own since I was a teenager, it's like, you'll have to do that in order to stay afloat.
Mm-hmm. That's what our parents had to do when they came here.
Exactly. So you keep it pushing. Now I don't need to.
But you still do it.
But I'm still moving.
Well, that's just...
And and now that I got more time to think, I'm like, what if I look down right now? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's just like a realization I've been having for quite some time, where it's like, what is the reason I'm still allowing the momentum to push me forward? Before, it was like I needed to get away from where I was. Now I don't need to get away from there. Why am I still allowing this to take me wherever it's going? And do I even want to go where it's going?
Because I don't want to look down.
Yeah. I don't
want to look down.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we soaring right now. We flying.
That's why the compliments feel weird to me. Because I'm not looking. I feel like looking down is like just dwelling in everything that's happening. Sometimes I look back about the achievement that I did and stuff like that. But I don't stay in it too much. It's kind of uncomfortable. I'm not, keep it moving. Let's go. Just keep on going. It's always the biggest conversation that I have with my girl because she's like, yeah, but aren't you proud? That's not what I said. Yeah, but like you have to be proud of yourself. That's not what I said. I just said that, one, it feels weird. And two, I got to keep on going. I got other shit to do. I got other shit to achieve. Right? I got other ideas. I want to do other stupid shit. You understand what I'm saying? But yeah, I understand the feeling when you don't want to look down. You don't want to dwell into that and bask. And I feel like all those people with potential and you never heard about after that, it's a bit of what happened. When something gets to their head, when like fame gets to their head or whatever gets to their head, they're like, yeah, I did that and everything and stuff. That's them looking down. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that dude. I just want to keep on going. There's other things, mental health, whatever issues and this and that. But sometimes there's that, the looking down.
Yeah. I don't think I'm worried about adulation or things like that. I think it's more so the why. I think if I imagine that the Roadrunner analogy, the running is the actions we take every day and the little work that we do that's propelling us and moving us forward, then what's beneath is really the foundation, what's like sustaining you through that. And the speed is what's keeping me flying after I've gone off the cliff. But then what's beneath is like you realize like there's nothing underneath that. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, if you just want to keep flying and soaring, that's great. But it's like at some point you don't want to fly all the time.
What's the purpose of a road runner? His name is Road Runner.
Sure.
There's runner in what he does. So if your purpose is that, then that's why you keep on going. Because you could do it and it's okay to do it. And that's your purpose. That's what you do. Okay? You found something. It's not sleep. It doesn't mean that your thing is gonna your mindset or your purpose is gonna change. It's not gonna change. It might change, but for now, that's your purpose. So a road runner is gonna do what a road runner does, and it's gonna run and keep on going. If that's what your purpose and that's what you're supposed to do, you're gonna keep on doing just that because that's what you're supposed to do. It's comfortable doing it. Are you forcing yourself whenever you're going down that hill or running off the cliff? Are you forcing yourself?
I don't think I'm forcing myself. It feels like it's just momentum.
It's no effort. So maybe just use the momentum.
But it's not about effort. I'm not talking about effort. I'm talking about it almost feels like it's a different energy that's propelling me there. So it's not a conscious choice sometimes. It's like it's more so the force of past choices made propelling me down. For example, it's like somebody going to school and they've invested a bunch of money into the education and they've paid a bunch of student loans and they're 3 years in. It's like sometimes what's propelling you forward isn't like purpose. It's like, bitch, I've already put in so much.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So momentum is a wonderful thing because as you accumulate more of it, you snowball, right? The running becomes effortless because you've already built so many good habits. You already got so much momentum and power pushing you forward. You're going to catch up so much speed. So it's great. But it also means you lack a bit of control. It's harder to control yourself when there's so much momentum behind you, right? When you're running down a hill at full speed, like one trip and you're going to fuck up your face, right? Mm. And so I think when it comes to life's decisions, I think that often feels that way. I'm not even saying it's necessarily a bad thing because sometimes momentum carries you somewhere amazing. I think it's just when you don't have that control, sometimes it could be strange. It could be strange just knowing like, all right, I'm here because of like so much push. And how much of it do you want and how much of it is good? And like when do you ever get to stop and like think about, all right, why? Other than I know how I got here. I'm not sure why. I think that's more so the philosophical question.
That's a lot of motherfucking question. I just want to do dope shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, I thought that way for a long time.
Yeah, I can understand that. But the thing that happened is that you have to just know if are you tired or not. Are you tiring yourself? Is the momentum bigger than your capacities? If you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're going down the cliff and then you're rolling, you got momentum. It's at some point it's easy, but then the momentum is faster than you. Like, are you tired? Are your legs flinching? Is that what it is? That's what you can control.
Yeah.
The wonderful thing about that is that you don't necessarily have a boss over you. The boss is you. The boss is who you feel that you are in charge of, right, and providing for them. Mm-hmm. They're not your boss, but you decided that they were the burden. You know what I mean? So then after that, you have to decide what you're willing to do for that. It's either you set shit up so that whenever you can take a break, you can take a break. So that whenever the momentum is starting to be too fucked up, you can tap the brakes whenever the fuck you want. Or you're really in line with what you do and you slow down the momentum right now so that the momentum doesn't get too fucked up. Taking
my circumstances out of it, I think about this in terms of the lives of other people.
Of the what?
I think about it in terms of the lives of other people.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just see people at jobs who've been there for 25 years. Yeah. And it's like, that's just momentum. 10 years, 15 years past, they've accumulated a few.
I think there's a difference between momentum and routine, but keep on going. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
Well, routine is built from momentum. The more you build a habit, you build up that momentum in regards to whatever's going on with your life. So the routine comes from you sticking with whatever it is, right? Momentum is like basically, so what is it? It's like force over time. And then there's like an acceleration process that happens over there, right? It's kind of similar to what happens with like routines and where you'll have to do some repetition, all that stuff. And the reason why you settle in is because like all the forces that encourage you to settle in keep you there. So you stay at your job for 25 years, you're used to that salary, people count on you, you got the same people there, et cetera, right? You are used to this. To have to stop and to change all of a sudden pivot is very, very difficult, right? Not just because of routine, but also because of it's like, when we're talking about like just life's journey, right? We're talking about what you know. Stopping and then having to restart is super difficult because you're starting from zero speed. Mm-hmm. That's hard. That's very difficult. And so for most folks, when they've built up that speed and they've built up that pace and they're used to it, having to stop, like it's like, fuck, I'm tired. I got to start this shit up again. So when I think about other people and they've, been at whatever jobs and they hate it and, there's a certain sense of safety that they feel in whatever it is that they got, I'm like, damn, whatever pace that they've kept, it's like it's hard for them to stop and to change trajectory. That's been true for like people in my family in a lot of ways or people around me. And I wonder sometimes if those people ever ask themselves like why they are where they are. Why don't they, do they question why they are where they are, even though like they're miserable or they're unhappy or they are happy? Do they question the why? Or is it just like the momentum of like my past choices carried me here and I never stopped?
I don't think the older people ask themselves that question. Older immigrants, first generation immigrants, oftentimes don't. Oftentimes, the generation of our parents, they don't ask themselves that. They just got to do what they got to do. They got to keep on pushing. They ain't got time to fucking ask, am I in line with whatever? No, that's our privilege.
Yeah.
They actually moved from their countries to come here for us to have that privilege of asking that. Okay? They oftentimes don't do that. They don't ask themselves those questions.
Right.
Am I in line with whatever? I gotta do this. This is the convenient thing. Maybe not, but it's working. You know what I mean? After that, the younger generation, I think we're the one that really ask those questions.
Sometimes I feel like with all these young folks, they don't even get moving. They just stop and think the whole time. It's like sometimes, bitch, you got to move your legs to figure out how this force works.
Yeah.
You can't just sit there and ponder all day because then nothing gets done.
Just stop and be like, I'm lost. No, you got to keep moving and be like, I'm lost, but let me find the clues or whatever, whatnot. Yeah.
It's like once you settle into a career, it's hard to just stop that and then choose something else.
Definitely.
Because you have all the time you've invested in, all the years you put in,
obligations,
all the connections you have. It's like, I'm going to go back to step zero. Yeah. It's like, no, bitch, I've been running this whole thing for a while. I'm like, the finish line got to be somewhere.
Yeah, it got to be
You want to be starting a new race, nigga? I'm still tired. Right?
I haven't completed one lap. You want me to start a brand new one? What the fuck?
Yeah. I think, I wonder because sometimes I hear other people talk about the whys, like be it their family, their kids, their dream, or whatever it is. And I feel like I've never really had that. I've just had the desire to get away from what I had. Like I didn't like where I was, so I needed to go somewhere. You get what I'm saying? That's all it's ever been. That's all it's ever been. I didn't like where I was, I'm going elsewhere. Right? So that's a simple feeling. Now I'm good with where I am, so I'm like, why am I still moving? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when I look at other people, I wonder if they have like a more intrinsic why that helps them kind of make sense of the world around them and like the direction that they're going. And like, how real is that? I don't know if people are just like postulating this bullshit or what. But yeah, I guess I was running through my head.
Oh, well. I was
They're running from the coyote.
Yeah.
And everyone's coyote is something different, I think people who get trapped in a routine, there's many different reasons, but there's like this societal kind of idea that you have to have this stable job with benefits, So the coyote for them, I guess, is just like being a loser without those things, without the house, without the car, without the wife or the husband or whatever. I feel like we set these standards, you know. It's like, oh, you got to be married by a certain age. You got to have this by a certain age. So people, yeah, I'm going to work for a bank and hate it and just keep doing it. And the momentum builds. And the company knows that there's that momentum, right? That's why they build like a corporate atmosphere where they kind of encourage, they have these 5 cassettes. It's almost like they want you to date someone within the company. And then it's like, oh, they got a company, baby. Now it's like, you can't leave. The momentum's there. You
now
know?
they're invested.
Yeah.
That's my coyote.
Yeah.
I don't want that. That's what I'm running from.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I decided to go the path I went.
So here's another question then. And I think what's true for you is probably true for me as well. Do you think it's a good thing that we're motivated by our fears?
Yeah. I don't see that there's other ways. I have a hard time seeing other ways than being motivated by your fears. Hold on. You can be motivated by other things, but being motivated by your fears is normal, and I think it can be healthy. When it doesn't become healthy, and it's when there's an obsession, then it becomes a problem. When you're not able to control that, and you're stuck in a pattern where you're always and constantly worrying about that, and it's causing you anxiety, and it's causing you to not being able to function. That's another thing. We're in another realm. But if your goals are fueled by your fears, and it can be healthy. Yeah. If it's balanced, absolutely. It can definitely be healthy. It becomes a problem when it's out of control.
I don't disagree. It just sounds weird.
It does.
Right? So like if someone wants to say, I'm doing this because I never want to go back to being poor, I can understand. Something about that sounds fucked up.
No, because you don't want to suffer. It's the equivalent of saying, I don't want to go back into suffering.
I agree, but here's my thing. What's beyond that?
What's beyond what?
Once you reach that point, okay, you're not going back. What are you living for after?
Just stabilizing that. When it becomes a problem is when you're only and constantly thinking about that, and you're not letting yourself live because you don't want to be poor. You become a hoarder of things. You know what I mean? So when it becomes to that extreme where you're extra cheap, you don't want to know, we don't do this, we don't do that, and you're fucking up your comfort and your comfort of other people, then it becomes a problem because you're not letting yourself live.
So I think what you're missing is this. I understand how it gets you out of that situation. I'm saying, how does it sustain you afterwards? So for example, here's a hypothetical. Take an NBA player, wants to get out of poverty, wants to make it to the league. Once you get your money, what sustains you in that league? It cannot be your fear of not wanting to go back. Those players never last. The ones who stick around are the ones who love the game. They have a deep sense of appreciation for the game. They just want to be champions. There's a different motivation there. There's a motivation that I never want to go back to poverty, which will get you out of it. Okay, we get it. Once you're out of it, though, what sustains you? What's life after that? It's like when you're in a bad environment, cool, you get out of the environment. You know how to get out of it. You've done what you need to get out of it. Doesn't mean you know how to live now. You get what I'm saying? What comes after that?
Yeah, I understand that, but it's more complex than that. It's not just, the person that does the NBA, and like he's in the NBA now, and he doesn't want to go back to being poor. It's more than that. That person found an avenue that he was good at, and he'd actually genuinely loved.
You're making the assumption that's what I'm saying. Your assumption.
We're making this whole thing is assumption. So I'm not saying that it's absolutely that, but I'm saying that it can be that. I'm not saying that automatically hits that.
But we're not talking about that. I'm talking about folks who want to escape something, so they use something to get out of that. That's it. That's the whole thing. I don't want to be poor, so I joined the military. We can assume that the person loves the military, but I can tell you from firsthand, a lot of them motherfuckers don't give a shit. No. They just want to get away from their environments, which it works. What comes after?
Well, I mean, those people are more at risk of a lot of things.
Right.
They're more at risk of injuries, they're more at risk of mental injuries, they're more at risk of a lot of things. So what comes after that depends of life. You're not necessarily going to be injured. You're not necessarily going to be like PTSD or whatever, whatnot. You're not necessarily going to be in depression, but you have to understand that you have more chances of that happening to you. Definitely, yeah.
Right.
If it's not something that you love, yeah.
Well, I
you're
mean,
not
isn't
happy.
that most people? Though? I feel like people who go to school, they don't love their fucking major. They don't even know what they want to do.
No.
They just want to escape whatever uncertainty they were at before.
Or they just want to please people, or they just, yeah.
But again, it's the fear that's motivating them. Most folks I know who went to school just didn't know what they wanted to do. They were afraid of whatever uncertainty, so they just picked something.
Yeah.
Okay, so it gets you out of that. It gives you an accomplishment, and great, it gets you outside of that bubble. You get whatever you need. It doesn't mean that you have what it takes to sustain you after. So that's my question.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like most people love what they do. I don't think that people who are operating off of fear are now choosing things afterwards out of love. No, they're choosing it to get away from what they are afraid of. And so that, I don't know how that sustains you afterwards. I guess that's why I'm asking.
It doesn't. In that case, if you're talking about in that case, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. That's why you have so much depression. That's why you have so much people that are incompetent at their job. They don't want to be there. They just gotta. Right. You understand? And I think it's generational because, no, it's not generational. It's just that we didn't talk about that. My parents didn't talk about depression or mental health and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that it did not affect them. It did, but they hit that shit pretty well. And now that being said, yeah, it's not. You can't live like that, really. You can't. You just can't. You
bunch of people watching right now who living like that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, bro, I was before this comedy shit and because of all of this stuff. I was definitely. I was not in line with me. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, definitely 100%. So after that, you have to find your way. It's not everybody's gonna find what they want and get out of there. It's rough, but most people, yeah, in that sense, that's why you have so much depression.
There's a Bill Hicks rant for sure on YouTube where he talks about this, like being motivated by fear versus love. It's like super viral it's probably from the 80s or something. But I think we're always trying to find the balance between those two. I think in his rant, he's talking about we have to be motivated purely by love and not by fear. But I don't know if that's possible. I feel like it's like the yin and the yang. You're kind of like trying to find a balance between the two. And ironically, when you kind of seek things you fear, you can find something you love through that in a way.
I think it's in a utopia. It's like a dream. It's like the ideal. But I don't think that's really how things work.
Right, because
I don't think that's how any of this works. Yeah. The ideal would be like, I'm only motivated by love. It's only love. That's cool. That's not how the brain works. I don't believe that that's how the brain works. You know, the fear factor is there. It can be there.
And love isn't some like eternal, tangible thing necessarily. Like we're all comics, right? I assume we all love doing comedy to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But like, I went the route of pursuing that. And overall, yes, I love comedy. But there's times where I fucking hate it, There's times where it feels like work. You've all had those hell gigs. You show up to like some small town, the sound's off, the crowd is rowdy. And
you're on a milk crate.
I'm like, I don't love this. I don't love anything about this. But I'm kind of scared almost of how bad it's going to go. But so there's the fear there. It's always like that balance between the two a little bit. But I'm going to do it because on some level I want to conquer this. You know what I mean? Like overall I love this thing, but it's not like an internal.
Maybe in that I don't hear the fear. I do hear that you don't love every aspect of it, but it doesn't sound like fear to me, at least in the scenario that you gave. I think fear speaks to a circumstance or an event you want to avoid or that scares you. What you described is just like anything in life, there's going to be aspects you love and aspects you don't love as much, whether it be a relationship or a child, So maybe I don't hear the fear in there. So maybe you want to help me hear that.
Because on some level, as much as like I've evolved and whatever and become better as a comic and discovered more stuff about it, I still fear doing badly. Less than before. Because you realize like on the grand scheme, one show doesn't really matter. And you kind of have to almost do badly to find new material.
Yeah,
you
but
know
that
what I
don't
mean?
matter when you're bombing. The moment that you're bombing, you're like, yeah, that moment doesn't matter because I usually don't bomb. You don't think that.
It still sucks.
It sucks. While you're bombing, you're bombing. That's it.
But you don't want, like you were saying, preach before, you don't want that to be your only motivation. It becomes paralyzing when you obsess on just that,
Maybe I'm the opposite. I have no issues bombing. You know what I get terrified of when I do stand-up?
What? Being corny?
No. I don't even care about that. When I do stand-up, I get terrified of the idea that I'm like almost too comfortable. That I stop actually being creative or stop trying.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just that fear's not I feel like that's almost like the absence of what I love about stand-up. What I love about stand-up is the spontaneity, it's the interaction and the connection with the audience. When I'm just there and I'm doing old rehashed material that I know works and I'm getting like this inorganic relationship with the audience, like that's what I hate. Even when I'm doing well with that stuff, I'm like, it's time to move on and I haven't done it. And I'm letting my fear motivate me rather than my love for stand-up. My fear of failure is what's motivating me right now, rather than my love of stand-up. And I'm doing well.
Mm-hmm.
They're laughing, and I'm there like, I hate this. All right, so
that's what motivates you, or is it just an explanation of what the feeling that you have? Because you're still gonna do your rehashed thing.
What you mean?
While you're doing it, and you're like, ugh, I hate that. You're still doing it. It motivates you in what sense? And not doing it later on, you're doing it. The fact that you're doing that rehashed set or whatever, you're doing it now. It's going to motivate you. Your fear is going to motivate you of doing what?
To just keep doing that. It stagnates you. I think you got to be brave. You know what I mean? I think loving something requires you to be brave, to have some courage, not to just be comfortable. Requires you to be uncomfortable, actually.
Oh, yeah.
That's what loving something requires of you. Be it a person, be it family, yeah. And so I think when you're motivated by that, then I think you're probably on the right path more than anything. I think fear for me is a great motivator when you are in crisis. I think it's absolutely necessary and it's normal to have. But I think once you're out of that, I think you need to have different motivations. Because when you're thinking about survival, fear is reminding you that there's real imminent danger. It's a byproduct of human evolution. And like almost any evolution that's absolutely necessary. Can't live in a fucking dangerous area and not have fear. No, fear is like your body basically telling you like there's danger.
You become reckless.
Potential, provided it's good, sensible fear, right? So you have to have a good sense of that, right? You need to have a good sense of that to be able to move through the world. But after you pass that threshold, after you get out of that fucking thing, it's like, all right, I gotta live with something else. Like, nigga, you can't be in a gated community motivated by your fear. Like, you gotta.
You're good.
Like you gotta live on something else at some point. You know what I'm saying? You made it out, right? And that's why like some niggas make it out, but they still in that mentality. And then that's why it fucks them up.
Yeah,
they've never been able to let go.
And that's what I'm saying when I'm saying like when the fear is too much and it overpowers you, and then you have PTSD and stuff like that, and it becomes an obsession. It's like, how are you gonna be rich, not hire security and walk with a illegal firearm with you?
Yeah.
It's like, but they're still stuck in that.
Yeah.
They're still stuck in that insecurity, that fear. And they do that.
Yeah.
They're stuck in their ways. So it goes with what you were saying. It's not because you reach a certain level. They reach that certain level of not being broke anymore.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that they're able to function, and they're not, because they still have those same mannerisms, those same things that they were doing, the same train of thoughts as when they were broke. That broke mentality. And they walk up in the spot with an illegal firearm, and then they catch a case.
Yeah.
This whole conversation, I feel like, is a metaphor for like human civilization and evolution, right? Because in the beginning, we're like motivated by a crisis of fear, like running from a tiger or whatever.
Right.
And then eventually we're able to settle and have agriculture and whatever. And then the motivation, once we kind of conquered the natural world to a certain extent,
Right.
the motivations became different,
Right.
you know? Like you have to move beyond that crisis. But I guess crisis is relative too, you know? It's like,
That's fair.
is it just an immediate fear? Or, you know, even if you're comfortable, even if you feel like you've gotten past that crisis mode where you're motivated purely by imminent fear, there's still things that can kind of push you backwards or go wrong. You know, there's still a little bit of,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
fair.
of something pulling you away where you don't want to look down, you know, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so that was my week. It's been my last couple of weeks just thinking about shit.
God damn, that's brutal. But you go through that.
But that's good, right? It's like, it means you're at a point of like comfortability in life where you can think about these things. Exactly. You know, you're not motivated by that imminent, like, I can't even philosophize about it.
I think it reminds me that I'm alive because I'm able to observe myself and then my own thoughts and then just try to decipher like ways in which I'm like fallible. And then from there, I'm like, okay, like I'm not just moving. Like it's not just like this flesh body doing and then talking, you know, it's like there's a certain reflection that I'm trying to go through to be able to be like, all right, like, you need to look at yourself. And so it's good in that sense. It's good in that sense because sometimes you're just so busy moving that you don't even really consider your own existence. You just do. You know what I mean? You go here, you see this person, you fuck, you go home, like whatever. You're just doing shit. You know what I mean? Like you're just doing anything. So it's good to be able to slow it down and be able to, but you also don't want to get too stuck in those waters because this is deep waters and then sometimes you get swept up.
That ever happened to you when you were like a kid? When I was a kid, I was like 7. I just had some moments where I realized that I was alive. Like I was just like, it's a weird thing. You just realize your own existence.
Yeah.
Like I'm a human being. I'm me.
Yeah.
I'm me. I'm an entity. You go from just going about life because they tell you to, and then just being like, wait a minute. I'm my own person. I exist.
Yeah. Which is kind of terrifying because, like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And so to come back to the start of this podcast, I think that's what noise is great for because noise kind of
Distracts you.
numbs out that feeling of
Yeah.
being alive.
I bought a white noise machine.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was just a bunch of white ladies talking about margaritas and asking for the manager over and over.
No, it's just like, I feel like all this noise just like makes you forget.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd be laying in bed sometimes and be like, damn, this shit's stressful. I was like, damn, I was like, why my shoulders tense? I got pain in my hips and shit. I was like, bro, what's going on?
Massage and shit.
That's why it's hard to do
You
psychedelics,
don't think about
man.
nothing when you
No.
just doing this.
Yeah, all day, every day. You're just going through it.
And you realize, like, man, you know, I'm not the biggest like Jordan Peterson fan per se, but some of his talks in regards to psychology I think are pretty fascinating. And he's like, life is a catastrophe in a lot of ways. Like human existence is a calamity. And I don't know why, but every time he said that shit always hit home with me because I always felt like life is like in a lot of ways incredibly beautiful. Like I had spent some time with my niece, and you know the thing about kids is like they're so present. It makes you present.
Oh yeah, it's the now.
It's like you right there.
Right now.
You're not elsewhere, you're not anywhere else, you're there.
And they're so honest.
Okay? And they're looking at you and you're looking at them and you're like there. And so there's like really like something beautiful about that. And then there's like the calamity of life where it's like you have the loss of life and tragedy and the imagining of other people's deaths around you and like the nebulous of your own mind. And it's just like, fuck, that's dark. You have this kid just drilling at you like
Present.
and it brings you back, right? So there's like that duality to things that I always find fascinating. But yeah, even just being alive, like you realize like, damn, this is a frightening thing. It's like, I don't know. And it's sometimes I hear other people talk like this. I'm like, man, let me turn this shit off. I don't want I don't
thoughts.
know. Think about this fucking depressing ass thing. But
Yeah.
And now you're talking about it for like over 45 minutes.
Yes. Because it's been on my mind. And when we were about to start this podcast, I'm like, what about I think about? Let me just be honest about what the fuck I'm thinking about. Because
I'm mad at it.
yeah, that's what sometimes it feels like all consuming. So sometimes I have to pull myself out of the water. You said something about you were 7, you realized you were alive. First time I did mushrooms, I realized I was alive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got transported. I felt like an out of body experience, and then it like made me super conscious of my inner thoughts and inner dialogue and things like that. It just like activated for me. And so now I become much more aware of how I think and why I think about things. And I think it's been good. It's been good in the sense that it's helped me take in a lot of new information. Like, sometimes we all know people in this space who, like, they're so dogmatic about everything. They have everything figured out. I'm like, bitch, you haven't had a conversation with yourself. You got the momentum of your ideas carrying you forward, and you are running down this hill so fast, even though people are telling you, hey, there's like a pit coming up. You've been running, and you refuse to stop, right? But the good thing about a little bit of self-awareness is like, hey, maybe that information is good. Let me take a second and stop and then reassess where I'm going. And so I think it helps me undo and stop when I need to and adjust directions. Not just let momentum carry me forever.
But not having anything figured out is not it's not a result of you start talking to yourself. At some point you're gonna figure something out. Maybe talking to you, like having everything figured out. What?
No. You know what? As I get older, man, you just realize, like, man, there's like so much you don't know. Like, what am I, 32 now? 32. Today, 32. Happy birthday, whatever. I was just talking about finance. We're talking about money shit. I'm like, nigga, I don't know anything.
Yeah, I know. You told me that.
I was just like,
you got to do this and you got to do that.
Yeah, and like you didn't know about a lot of like, sexual dynamics between men and women, like dating stuff, and over the course of this YouTube. And you've taught me stuff about marriage and dating, and I'm still learning stuff from people around me. So you say at some point you got no shit. I'm like, do you though?
You don't know.
You don't. Even my mom, like even seeing her change and her like evolution as a 55-year-old woman, it's like, damn, I guess she don't know shit either. She learning stuff too.
Yeah. When you don't know that you don't know, you don't know that you don't know. Sounds super stupid, but
yeah. And if you don't know
that you don't know.
Yeah, he got a couple lines like that.
You don't know that you don't know.
A stupid bitch that's a stupid bitch is less stupid than a stupid bitch that doesn't know she's a stupid bitch.
A stupid bitch that knows she's a stupid bitch is less stupid than a stupid bitch that don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Makes sense if you like think about it. But yeah, you got a couple lines.
It's a good tongue twister for the niece.
Hey, little girl, let me teach you something.
A stupid bitch that don't know she's a stupid bitch is less of a stupid bitch than a stupid bitch that knows she's a stupid bitch.
You know what? That is deep. That's actually science right there.
It's science.
There's something called the Dunning-Kruger Effect.
Yes.
Right? Which is like essentially the more you know about a topic, the less confident you are in having like a very strong position about it.
The more you know about some shit, the more you know that you don't know.
Exactly.
Where are you guys on the Dunning-Kruger scale when it comes to stand-up?
I don't know shit.
I'm definitely in the middle section.
I don't
150%.
Know. Yeah.
I am 150% in the middle section.
I don't know shit. I'm just going to put myself there.
I was so much more confident in my first 2 years. It's crazy. I have so much less confidence in how good I am of a stand-up now after doing so much and seeing so many amazing people. And, the first few, I feel like you too, like we both started about the same time. We were both doing quite well for people who are like starting. So I was like, man, this is it. I'm Russell Peters, like you crush 1 5-minute set and at an open mic and you're like, I can do dope. This. Yeah. I'm like, I could do this. And then only later on when you look back and you're like, oh my God, my jokes were so hacky.
Yeah.
People were laughing. I was doing well, but like, fuck, I was bad. And I was overconfident. And And then I'm sure I'm going to look back at myself I hope that I'll look back at myself in 5, 10 years time and think the same about
where you
myself
are right
now, you know? So
yeah, it's almost like you're at the bottom of a valley and you climb over the mountain and you feel amazing and you look up and there's like Kilimanjaro up ahead. And it's like extending past the clouds. You can't even see the summit of that bitch. And you're like, oh, Nick, I ain't done shit. That's what it feels like. Yeah. That's what it really feels like. You know, the only thing that I think helps me out when it comes to that stuff is I'm okay. I'm okay with not being great. I'm okay with not knowing, and I accept it. There's a topic of God that comes up all the time for me. People always ask me, like, so what's your religious belief? I'm like, well, I don't know. You don't have any religious belief? Do you believe in spirituality? I'm like, well, maybe. It could be out there. Maybe it's not. So you don't think about it? I'm like, nope. That is, for all the deep talk we've done today, one thing I literally never take a second to think about is the existence of God. I don't even ponder. It never crosses my mind till someone asks me it. Then I'm like, I don't really care. And I move on and I never think about it again. And the reason why is because I'm like, I don't know. I have no way of confirming and it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I'm going to just be out here. I'm going to try to do right by the people around me. If God does exist, then hopefully he accepts me knowing like I try to do, or she, whatever they, God, whatever pronoun they prefer, okay, accepts me having done what I've done. I assume God got to be gender neutral, right?
Got to be.
Got to be. So it's like, I don't know. To me, and I find folks think about it so much.
That's what a religion is. That's what a religion is, thinking about it so much. And then after that, there's the people that are not in a religion, but still think about whether it exists or not.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think a lot of folks in a religion don't even think about it. I think they just accept it because they're afraid of the unknown. So they don't think about it. They accept that reality because it's so comforting.
Yeah.
And look, listen, whether you believe it or not, I don't poo-poo it. I think it's perfectly fine. And I think it's absolutely necessary for a lot of folks. I'm not even here to be like, I'm above that. No, it's cool. I think a lot of folks don't even think about it. It's got to be real. And they stop there. They don't question it. My experience with folks who are hyper-religious is they do not question the existence of God. They accept it as a unilateral fact.
Yeah, you're right about that.
They're at the beginning of the Dunning-Kruger.
No, because for them, it's not a progression.
Right, it's an ultimate truth, but in a sense, like I feel like they haven't thought deeply past that at all. Like that's the further down the curve or whatever.
Yeah, that's one thing I've never. What about you guys? You think about that exists?
The more I think about it, the less I think it exists.
Really?
And now I talk to God, ironically, knowing you don't exist. Yeah, sure, dude. That was you. All right. And not just a random lightning. All right.
What about you?
I think I have a scientific view of it, but a lot of people who say that are like, oh, I'm an atheist because there's no proof.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a very scientific way of actually thinking about it. Like if you have an experiment where you're trying to prove something in science and you can't find a conclusion, then it's inconclusive.
Yeah.
It's not one way or the other. But I think about it similarly to you, I think, where I'm like, I do think about it though. I wouldn't say I think about it all the time, but I don't know and I'm fine with that.
There's no evidence.
Yeah.
But for me, that the fact that there's no evidence doesn't prove without a doubt that there is nothing.
Or it doesn't exist.
It's inconclusive. That's it.
I like that. Even though I don't think about God's existence ever, I do love thinking about religious edicts, and I love thinking about them in more abstract sense and really believing that they're real. So whenever people talk about angels and devils, I don't think about them in literal senses. I think about them in abstract senses, and I feel like they're real. I feel like there's people in the world that I think you can divide that way, or even the idea of hell and heaven. I feel like in a metaphorical sense, they could be places that we visit in our minds and in our life. I don't think about it if you die, you're going to be sent to hellfire and suffer for eternity. For some people, even if imagine if your life on earth is the only reality that you have. for some people, they could certainly define their life as hell.
Yeah.
If you heard their life story and how it started and how it ends and what it was like throughout the whole point, like that sounds like hell to me. And so sometimes I like thinking of, past stories, be it passed through the Bible or certain concepts. And I know people love to take them as literal places or literal meanings, but I think if you think about them more abstractly in terms of the human condition, I think they're fascinating because they can really apply. It's kind of like Greek mythology. If you take it literally, obviously nobody is a Hydra. Hydras didn't exist. There was no fucking monster that came out with all these heads.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, sometimes you do confront problems in life where, you cut one issue down and then another one pops up. And it's just like, this issue seems never ending. Every time I feel it, a Hydra could be a manifestation of those kind of problems. You know what I'm saying? Or even the story of Icarus, the boy, like, all of those stories were written in a way that there was like a very strong moral in terms of like archetypes. The person who's too ambitious for their own good and flew too close to the sun. We can think of people that we know in that sense. And so sometimes I take a fascination with a religion in that sense, and like the lessons that it passes down. I think stories do a great job of that, or concepts do a great job of like metaphorically illustrating aspects of the human condition. So I think that's the stuff that I think about more than anything. But as far as like the existence of God itself, it's like, I don't think I'll ever get an answer. So I don't know. For me, it's just, if he's there, to me, this is the way I think about it. Whether it's true or not has literally zero meaning on my life. So I don't think about it. You know what I'm saying? Let's say tomorrow I could confirm. Jesus of Nazareth was a white man, blonde hair, blue eyes, lived here. Now he's up there. Whatever. Okay?
And he hates you for fornicating.
Okay. Yes. To me, I'm like, bro, I try to do right by my people. You gave me the ability to do all this stuff. If I'm not supposed to do it, well, I guess I'm going to hell. It is what it is.
Accepted it.
I accept it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to start acting funny and start acting crazy because now I confirmed it like I don't. I'm not going to start acting all different. You know what I mean? Because now it sounds fake. Mm-hmm. Now I'm just like, I'm not doing this thing that I would do just because I want to.
No, you would do this shit out of fear. Mm-hmm. That would be the only thing that would motivate you.
Yeah. God is the ultimate coyote.
Hey, to some people, that's definitely true.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's facts.
That's what they call him. He's a God-fearing man. That's a compliment, He's
and I'm like, okay, you're afraid.
Yeah. No, I never shit on religion for that simple reason. For the simple reason, like, I think we've had this conversation, but I was like, if you have a hard life, sometimes that's the only thing keeping people going. I would never go out and shit on them. Like, keep it. Mm-hmm. Whatever you need. You know what I mean? That's for you. Because it helps people through some really difficult times and like.
There's whole countries like that.
We just was talking earlier about how like life is fucking frightening and scary. Like realizing you're alive. How do you cope? How do you cope? Well, listen, I can assure there's a lot of people who decide not to cope and they exit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I promise you, I would bet my entire life savings that self-deletion rates are much higher amongst atheists than there is with religious people.
Yeah, I would tend to. Because they don't have anything to live for.
When you start to like realize, like when you believe that there's nothing out there and you got nothing to hold on to and life is just like you live and you die, that's a hard thing to stomach.
Yeah.
And to exist and to accept. So how do you make sense of that shit? Say what you want about folks who are religious, but they've found something that gives them purpose and meaning and a way to make sense of the world. So I respect that.
A way to stay in.
Yeah, because I don't have the answers. I certainly don't have the answers. So yeah.